The Jim and Terry Show, coming to you from the Hobbit Hole Studio in Bob Cajun, where we are not going to be looking up in case the sky really is falling.
I thought we were in Kananaskis.
Well, Kananaskis, the sky didn't fall. It was the first test for our new Prime Minister, Mark Carney. First G7.
Yeah, he did well, especially when Trump was right off the bat supporting Russia. And blaming Trudeau for him not being a part of the G7 or the
and
G8.
That was just the opening. That wasn't before the working session.
Trudeau wasn't even in power.
No.
So all of those of you who hate Trudeau had nothing to do with Russia being excluded. It was actually a conservative leader that had something to do with that.
And I don't mind. That's the one act that I don't mind. Stephen Harper was in agreement with everyone. They all decided.
Well, it would have been with Obama, right?
Yes, I think it was Obama.
So Stephen Harper, conservative, Obama, liberal, both agreed that
not just those two, everybody.
No, everybody, but I mean they were a part of it. Trump blamed Canada, and Obama. So good, take that one on because it's true, and they should never be in there. It's horrible.
Well, let's take a look at the detail. Remember, those are just the opening remarks.
Oh yeah,
the opening remarks, and it went downhill from there. Okay, so Carney did not correct him.
Nope.
Some people don't like that, and some people do. Where are you on that one? Carney did not correct him.
Carney played it perfectly. And then he let them give him a couple of questions, and then when he saw it was getting out of hand, he says, look, I only have so much time with the president, so we're going to cut this short so I can talk with him. He handled it perfect.
I wondered who was behind the camera that we couldn't see who's raising the flag and said, time, cut.
Yeah. I think Carney just realized, okay, I got to let him flap a little bit because he went right off the mark. So he made a point. He made a point, quite frankly, of being an asshole from the second he opened his mouth at that meeting, and then I personally think all the G6, rejoiced when he flew home.
Are you going to call it the G? Because I remember you and I talking about the G8 minus one.
Yeah.
When that happened in 2014. Crimea happened first, which is why it became G7 instead of G8. It would have been G8, but Russia invaded Crimea.
Yeah.
And I remember the bridge being built, and I thought, you're not going to build that bridge unless you intend to cross that bridge.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, they did, just like February, I'm going to say 22nd, 2022. All the convoys from the Russian military were lined up outside of...
Yeah.
I thought, you're not lining these things up
for nothing. No.
For nothing.
Yeah.
And that's way too much stuff for a practice.
Yeah, like sort of a military game.
Yeah.
Nobody has that much accumulated for that.
Not for a game.
I think the Russian count is around 1 million soldiers have died.
Yes, they passed that.
Yeah, past 1 million for a cause.
And that's the military casualties. Yeah. That's killed and wounded. What we don't know is the total casualties on the Ukraine side and civilians. I don't think we know that. But we do know civilians are being deliberately targeted with missiles.
They were from the beginning. Putin is a butcher. He really is.
So here's your comment. Putin is a butcher. He really is. Yeah. And that we go fast forward to, or rewind to Kananaskis and talk about Trump's opening remarks. And he, right from the get-go, goes against Trudeau and Obama.
And it goes against Lewinsky, which he knew he wasn't going to be around to see.
Sorry, did you say Lewinsky?
No.
Zelensky?
Zelensky.
Well, you got Clinton and Lewinsky.
Yeah. Zelensky. It went against him, too, in Ukraine. It definitely went against that because it's not acknowledging why Russia was kicked out.
That's right.
It's just they were kicked out. Oh, because why? We're big bullies? No. Trump's playing a very dangerous game.
Well, this is why we have a debate about should Carney have corrected him, because that clip of Trump saying what he said is going to be sliced out of that whole opening exercise and played ad nauseum on Fox and Fox-related networks all over America. And so the MAGA people are going to just hear Trump give his version of history, which is not true.
Well,
it's not history.
No. And I, really, on that one, I don't care because the state media, Fox, is going to do everything their king desires. And so it's already given. It's a given. They have sold their souls, and Murdoch is the chief. He's probably one that's benefiting somehow financially off of Russia, because he's such a propagandist.
Oh.
Allegedly, all this crap. I have no, but I don't know why you would want to do something to the United States unless you really had a burr in your saddle to actually bring the country down.
Unless you're being paid something to do that.
Or paid something to do that.
Wow.
And so there they are. And we know, you and I know it. It's as plain as the nose on your face. And we've had people that have turned from Trump over when Trump has hit a key nerve. And that's what it takes for everybody, him to hit a key nerve.
Yeah.
Then the blinders come off and you start seeing everything.
You were saying that this morning over breakfast that, well, we discussed that famous, first they came for this group of people and no one spoke up. Then they came for that group of people and no one spoke up. And they finally came for me. There was no one left to speak. And that's the case if it doesn't hit us personally, either in our personal finances, our personal life, our professional life, or family members. If no one is directly affected by any of these things that are going on, no one in our family is being affected by the bombings in Ukraine. Nobody in our family is being affected by the bombings in Israel or Gaza.
Yeah.
Until it becomes personal, we all sort of, we have our coffee and we chat about it. When does it become personal? What would it take for us to become personal? When they invade Canada? Does that all of a sudden change things?
Well, I don't know. Maybe when the nuclear clouds start rising over someplace.
And they blow. The winds blow. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I was watching Chernobyl, the documentary, and how that radiation spread, carried by the winds.
Yeah.
No one is safe.
What about if they use the bunker bombs on these sites in Iran, and it goes down 200 feet and blows up their enriched uranium? Isn't there a pollution factor here?
Wouldn't that go up in the debris field?
And that would go up into a city of almost 10 million. And
I'm not sure that they put those facilities near Tehran.
Blow over. Well, it's close.
Well, it's going to blow over everybody.
Yeah, it might be 100 miles away, but 100 miles away is really not that far when death is flying in the air.
Well, this was the danger.
We're feeling the smoke out of Winnipeg
area.
Out of Saskatchewan.
Northern Manitoba.
Yeah, Manitoba,
Alberta.
Saskatchewan. We're feeling the smoke, and that's 1,000 miles away. So, or kilometers, 1,500 kilometers, whatever it is.
Speaking of the wildfires, which you haven't touched upon, I was wondering if that Kananaskis G7 was going to still take place because of wildfires burning.
Yeah. Well, that was just north of Calgary, wasn't it? Or
Kananaskis is
northwest of Calgary.
Yeah. But
west.
Gorgeous,
I think it's west of Calgary.
Gorgeous setting. It might have been an alpine village in Switzerland.
Well, I think
it was
there
gorgeous.
was a resort. Is that where they stayed?
Yes.
Golf resort. Trump didn't even stick around to golf.
Unbelievable. Eh? Okay, so success. Carney did not challenge the untruths and let Trump give him enough rope to hang himself, because everybody who knows anything will say, well, what's the sense of having Trump even in the meeting? And some will say, well, do you remember that picture of Trump with his chin on his chest? It looked like he fell asleep at the opening session. So does he, I want to be sympathetic. Does he have something wrong?
A lot of people are saying he does, and that it's just going to get worse. And I don't know what the mega's going to do when he does something really bizarre, like somehow get them to bomb those sites without going through Congress.
Does he still have the codes? Does he still have the suitcase? Does he still have
God, yeah, you would have all that.
Oh my gosh. So, talk about literally a walking time bomb.
Yeah. And then I don't know. It's to me it is a walking time bomb, because I'm convinced that the guy really doesn't have any virtue or anything in him.
No redeemable qualities.
No, he just wants to be known in history over Hitler.
What if there's no history to be? There's no record.
Well,
you're going to blow the whole thing up.
He wouldn't even think about that. You know what I mean?
There has to be a history if you want to be remembered.
Yeah, there has to be. Yeah, and I don't think he'd even think about that. But I got a funny feeling that this is in his mind. It's just he don't care. No. All news is good for promotion or something. I forget what
Yes.
the term is. If they're talking about you, that's great.
Even bad news is good news.
Even bad news. And Trump couldn't care less. So he says things that are just outrageous. Why not do things? Well, he's already doing things that are outrageous. He's flip-flopped again on taking all the immigrant workers out of the farm fields.
Yes.
He's going to ruin their economy.
Yep.
So what is California to do?
Well, if you're Governor Newsom, and again, the childish antics of Trump, Newsom.
Geez,
Please, you're not a 6-year-old.
juvenile.
Well, there's more to Kananaskis than meets the eye, and we'll talk about more of that maybe in the next podcast of the Jim and Terry Show. Still a few things left in the bottom of our mugs.
Carry this load no more.
Bye-bye for now.
I don't wanna carry this load.
Though the sweat of my brow and the toil of my hands has got me so far into this promised land.